Chevra, we're learning Leilun Nishmas Levi ben Yosef, Bas Yafegi Bas Yisrael, Shimon ben Moshe, Tzvi Mordechai, Shirat David, Bas Rav Alter Nosanata, and an honestly for the Refuah Shlema. Tzara Bas Rachel Fegel, Malka Elka Bas Perel, Shoshana Yona Bas Yesod. The week is sponsored by Baruch and Sophia Bina Kerzner in memory of Sophia Bina's grandfather, Mikael ben Aaron, and by my in-laws, Ben and Bar Baselsky, in memory of my father-in-law's brother, Yosef ben Shlomo. Today, we have enough pages? Okay, today we are starting, I'm very excited because we are starting the march towards the Megillah, Purim, and we're starting it with the Tzaddik, Rav Avraham Tzvi Kluger. We have the privilege of learning his Torahs for a while now, for a number of years in the Beis HaMikdash, and we also have the privilege of going and being with him also once. It would be a beautiful thing if one of the chevra, I guess me, could arrange to go see him before Purim or between Purim and Pesach. That'd be something very, very special. But the Pnimuyis of the Mitzvos, there's Daled Mitzvos Hayom and Purim. There's 4 Mitzvos of the days. Everyone knows what they are, right? Come on. I'll start. Mikra Megillah. Shaloch Manos. Matanos La'Evyonim and Suda. Every year what we try to do is take as many as we can of the Daled Mitzvos Hayom and go into the Pnimiyus of them. And today we're going to be starting off by actually jumping on both, two at once. Mishloach Manos and Matanos La'Evyonim. This is pretty straightforward today. What we're going to be seeing today is all based on a Maharal, a very important Maharal which we'll have in front of us. We don't get a chance to learn too much Maharal, but today we're going to see a beautiful piece from the Maharal in Netzach Yisrael and tie in a beautiful concept together. And this is all based on Mikdash consciousness. This is all Beit HaMikdash consciousness, what we're going to be learning today. Hopefully what we're always going to be learning, but today specifically. No need for too many akdamas. I want to go right inside, because you'll see that the second paragraph is basically a chunk of psukim relating to the Mitzvos Hayom. Rav Kluger starts like this: Omdim b'mei Purim ba'et la'asok Mitzvos Hayom. We are going to try to understand why and how the Daled Mitzvos Hayom were established, and obviously not just how and why they were established, but the Tam HaPnimi b'Mitzvos Elu. Most of us that grew up in religious environments were accustomed to making sure that there was, out of the 4 Mitzvos Hayom, which one was the most mehudar? Growing up. Mishloach Manos. I grew up in Beverly Hills. You know what? I always talk about the Beverly Hills Mishloach Manos, is what those things looked like. A package would come, it would start in the living room and end in the dining room. You're dating? Yeah, you're dating. Yeah. I don't know what the zach is today, but yeah, obviously you could be Yotzei Mishloach Manos with 2. An orange peel. And with 2 brachas. Obviously, yesh po inyan pnimi, there's something deep going on over here. Matanos La'Evyonim, how would we usually be yotze that? Growing up, did any of you remember?
Zeicher.
There'd be yeah, but that's actually confusing, because that's not pasha that's yotze Matanos La'Evyonim when you have an evyon that actually comes up to you. Because the Mashiach then comes to your house during Suda, and you're like, no, I put it on the plate next to the... We have an amazing opportunity to tune in the inyan of Nidvas Alev, of the Nedava of the heart on Purim as well. Yeshiva Bochrim take great advantage of that. They know exactly. They were prepped all year to make sure they have the greatest Avos, the Kedusha. I don't know how much it is here in our area, but in Yerushalayim. I don't know, what was it like in Montreal, Steve?
Same, the streets. By the time the Bochrim hit literally the cars, they were pretty tipsy.
when they hit the cars, right?
Yeah, they'd stop every year. That's it.
We're going to learn the psukim. Okay, we're just going to go through the psukim again from Megillah Esther. Again, just to refresh our memory, and are ready to jump into the Mikra Megillah, which is a very beautiful thing. Niftach sugiya zo beloshon hakosov. Perek tet in Megillah Esther. Biyom 13 lechodesh Adar v'Noach ב-14 bo. ועשה יום משתה ושמחה, והיהודים אשר בשושן נקהלו ב-13 בו, ב-14 בו, ונוח ב-15 בו, ועשה יום משתה ושמחה. You already know all the different Gemaras that are osek in the inyan of what's the earliest time the Megillah could be read. It's There's a lot to dabble into, because the Megillah gives all these different dates when things are happening. So we have all the different times from the time you could read Megillah and where you could do it, and you see already here, 13, 14, 15. Al ken Yehudim haprazim. What's a Yehudim haprazim? What does that mean?
Spread out.
What's arei haprazos? Arei haprazot. Unwalled cities, right? Al ken Yehudim haprazim hayoshvim ba'arei haprazos osim v'siyam 14 lechodesh adar simcha mishta v'yom tov u'mishloach manos ish l're'ehu. Now this is a key pasuk over here. It jumps. We just read it, but this is actually key. Listen to this. Vayichtov Mordechai es advarim ha'ele, vayishlach sfarim el kol haYehudim asher bechol medinos hamelech Achashverosh hakrovim v'arechokim, lekayim aleim lios osim v'siyam 14 lechodesh adar v'siyam 15 bo bechol shana v'shana. Mordechai haYehudi is writing shilas and tshuvas. Mordechai Yehudi, there's more pages here for whoever needs, and it's good to see this inside. There's a lot of text today. So this is beautiful. Mordechai Yehudi is writing a tshuva, not a tshuva really, he's writing a psak. He's writing a psak halacha. Kayamim asher nachu b'hem haYehudim oivem, v'achodesh asher nepach lehem yogem l'simcha me'ever l'yom tov, la'asos osam yemei mishte v'simcha u'mishloach manos ish l're'ehu, Matanos La'Evyonim. How many of the Daled Mitzvos Hayom were included in these psukim that we just learned? 3. Which one isn't here? Mikra Megillah. So we'll go to that in a different time. But 3 definitely. Mishloach Manot, Matanos La'Evyonim, and the mitzvah of the Seudat Hayom. So Rav Kluger now takes us on a journey. A beautiful one. Bizboninus bilishonos apsukim izbar shehaya kama v'chama shlavim B'darkei hitavut mitzvot hayom. The mitzvahs of the day had a few stages until it came into fruition. Reish Yisrael kiblu aleim. What's the first shlav of the mitzvahs coming to life? Reish Yisrael kiblu aleim rak hayoshvim b'arei haprazos la'asos simcha u'mishte v'yom tov u'mishloach manos ish l're'ehu. So first there was the Yidden in the unwalled cities that mekabel this. What did they take upon themselves? How many mitzvahs?
Simcha, Mishta, and Mishloach Manos. So that sounds like...
Two. There's only 2 here.
Simcha Mishta.
Simcha Mishta v'Yom Tov is 1.
Yeah.
There's Seuda. ואחר כך שלח מרדכי הצדיק לכל היהודים אשר במדינות המלך אחשוורוש, ומרדכי הצדיק הוסיף את מצוות מתנוס לאביונים, שבתחילה לא קיבלו בני ישראל מעצמם. So Mordechai, this is fascinating. Mordechai adds, he has to add in a psak halacha, the inyan of giving out money to the poor, that in the beginning, that didn't happen naturally. And there's a whole mimer on this, which hopefully we'll have time to get into. Why wasn't that a mitzvah? It's interesting. Shaloch Manos, and Seuda, no one has any problem with that.
Well, because you can't do the first 2 if not everyone has money, how could they be happy and how could they have Mishnah? I think maybe it was just pragmatic.
Just logical, you're saying.
Yeah,
logical sense, meaning if I have a little bit of geld, what am I going to use it for? Right? Yeah. Right, so you're saying logically speaking. So there's a whole mimer on this as to why this happened like this.
But also, what's the connection of giving tzedakah to poor people?
Good shaila.
I mean, Suda makes
very,
sense.
very good question. Pesach, I could actually understand that if you and Kimcha. It's interesting. Kimcha de Pischa is much less hot than Matanos La'Evyonim, right?
Right.
Kimcha de Pischa is not as strong as Matanos La'Evyonim, but it would make much more sense because Kol Dichfen Yese V'Yechol, meaning I'm speaking about Evyonim literally when I start my Seder. It would have made more sense if that was actually attributed to that.
But if here the mitzvah is Simcha Mishta, people need money to be happy and to make a Mishnah.
People need money to be happy.
And to make a Mishnah.
No,
you can't
which
have
is part, we do, which is part of
Nachon.
Nachon, which is part of the thing.
The story of Esther is about Arvut HaDatit, but Lidog L'Sheni.
So you could say that's Shalach Manos.
So
I could look at that and say, yeah, you're right. That's why I give each person two things.
you didn't prefer cash.
Some.
It's true that it's in the context of Yom Tov, but the Rambam says you can't have Simcha Mishnah without
Basavayain.
Giving
money.
Yeah.
This is all prepping us for a different mimer, which we'll be learning, but it's important to see, like he said, the shlavim of the hitavut, like the ways these mitzvah came out. It's a beautiful thing. Vehine. Tzarich biur. Let's start asking today is going to be a lot of questions to sharpen the focus of what we're trying to do over here. Vehine tzarich biur. We need to understand. מדוע התחילו היהודים היושבים בערי הפרזות מעצמם לקיים מצוות משלוח מנוס? There any more? Yeah. Are there? You have, okay. We have to understand. The Yidden that sat in the unwalled cities on their own started doing one of the Daled Mitzvos Hayom, Shalach Manos. Bishlama mishta v'simcha hu lehodos lehalal al hanes hagadol. I can understand. When they heard the story of Purim, they're like party time. Why not? I would understand that. That's something I understand. Ach mishloach manos lichora eineno shayach klal l'chol ma'aseh hanes. What's the shayach? I mean, Matanos La'Evyonim, it's interesting. Matanos La'Evyonim, I can understand that context maybe a little bit better with Purim than Shaloch Manos. What's the reason there's Mishloach Manot? Like what's that shaychus to the story of Megillah Esther? Shaloch Manos. So invite him to your Seudah. There should be a chiyuv to invite someone to your Seudah. Meaning, why dafka Shaloch Manos? And all the halachas that come out of it. I'll tell you.
Could be the reference in the Megillah that they were mefuzar, mefura. There was a disconnect.
So it's a way of like what you're saying of Avos Hadadis. I'll tell you. This is a nutty Torah I've shared with you in the past. Why did it dafka have to be Shaloch Manos? Do you remember this Torah?
They didn't trust the kashrus.
Yeah. Because there would be a totally legitimate reason for there to be complete mistrust between Yidden based on the beginning of Megillah Esther. What's the beginning of the Megillah Esther? They're eating treif. They're sitting at the Yesod of Achashverosh. So part of the Pirsumei Nisa, the Yisgalus of the Nes, that making sure that this is amazing Torah from the Ostshuvtzer Rebbe, that one of the inyanim of takanos Shalach Manos would be to show that I know that you may have sat at that Seudah and you were eating treif, but when you see Yad Hashem so clearly, we trust so much, I trust your kashrus. I trust that it had a hashpah on you. So part of the going through the revelation of Purim is gaining trust again in other people's kashrus. It's a very beautiful thing. And did you down it because of this Torah? So that came up once when we were learning in Simchat Shlomo. So someone also said, he's like, I got these cookies in my Shaloch Manos, and I was giving it to my children, and I remember this Torah that we learned, and I said, okay, it must be that it's fine. And then my 8-year-old started to pull his ears up and doing these wacky things, and it was a different type of Shaloch Manos, you know. So,
It was kosher.
But it was kosher. But it definitely had kashrus. Good Purim. Ach, Mishloach Manos, 5th line again. Lichora eineno shayach klal l'chol ma'aseh hanes. So Rav Kluger is asking, Madua kiblu al atzmam mitzvah zu? V'lo dami klal l'shar yomim tovim. This is also all the other yantivs that we have. We don't have these inyanim. We don't have this, like he says over here. Asher mitzvos hayom shayachos v'kshuros l'mahus hayantiv. The mitzvahs of the day regarding other holidays are shayach to the context of the actual day. Kegon, when it comes to Pesach, what am I busy doing? I'm busy doing a mitzvah that has to do mamish with the story of Pesach. Achilas matzos, Pesach. Or ayeshiva b'sukkah b'chag ha-sukkos. V'chen adlakas neiros Chanukah b'yimei Chanukah. Meaning all these things have to do with the actual time that we're in. Shekol ha-mitzvos halalu kshuros v'she'achos l'malus hayantiv. Ach mitzvos mishloach manos lichora eineno kshura klal l'chol nes ha'atzala. The miracle of being saved doesn't seem to have any shaychus to mishloach manot. V'tzorich bir, that's what Tzadik Beis is over here. V'tzorich bir, so this needs explanation. והנה בטעם מצווה זו כבר העריכו בזה בראשונים שבירו שטעם המצווה הוא כדי שיהיה לכל אחד ואחד סודס ינטב. This is connected to what Avi was saying before. And he brings the Trumas Hadeshin here, but you really see throughout the Chazals, throughout the Rishonim and the Achronim, that the reason this mitzvah is that everyone should have a Seudas Yantiv. Achadayin tzarich iyun, madua tiknu ken daika bepurim velo b'shar yomim tovim. That doesn't help us. That helps us for the inyan of having a Seudah, of having Simcha. But we don't find this Lashon and this takana of Chazal by the other Yantivs.
But you're supposed to give tzedakah before the Shalosh Regalim.
It's nice that you're supposed to. It's not. We don't look at it as one of the. You're also supposed to buy your wife nice things before, Yom Tovim too. But these are not things that were established as takanos Chazal. This is a takanos Chazal. That's what he's trying to understand. Meaning, if you're going to say you need to have Simchas Yantiv, so therefore we enhance it by saying these things have to be established. Okay, that explains to me why. Why what? What is this still kashur to Purim? Is his question. You hear the question? Why dafka Purim for this? You could say this about any holiday. What's the yichudius? What's the uniqueness of dafka, the holiday of Purim, with this? Madua tiknu ken daika bePurim velo b'shar yomim tovim. Kmo chen. Tzarich bir b'matanos b'mitzvos Matanos La'Evyonim. שצריך עיון, כנ"ל, מהו השייכות של מצווה זו לימי הפורים? We also have to ask the shaila about Matanos La'Evyonim. Why is this dafka shaykh to Purim? You could say this should be shaykh to every... This even more, that there's certain tzaddikim, like I heard stories about, like Reb Chaim Tzanzer, for instance, that when there was money in the house that wasn't given to people that needed, he literally could not sleep in the house. He could not sleep in the house. Because if you know that you have the ability to bring a simcha to a family, whether it's a chanas l'Shabbos or Yantiv or Yom Tovim, and it still didn't take place, ze alecha, it's on you. It's heavy stuff, it's on you. It's a heavy thing to live with. That your non-activation of the mitzvah that's in front of you right now is preventing a person's yeshiva das thinking, am I going to have anything for Shabbos or for Yantiv? So the real tzaddikim were so sensitive about this that they couldn't even sleep in the house where there was a potential situation of making someone happy. There's a lot of drushas on what we just said right now. Because if you know that inside of you have something to teach to someone, or some love to give to someone, but it's lying dormant in you, the shaila is, how sensitive are you to that?
It's recognizing that you're just a tzinor, and it's by you to be passed on, but you're not passing it on.
And you're not passing it on, so what happens to you? Maybe that's why the Rebbe told everybody, you know Aleph, go teach Aleph. Like whatever you have to give over, go and teach it, go and give that over. Again, כמו כן צריך ביור מצוות מתנוס לאביונים שצריך עניין כנ"ל, מהו השייכות של מצווה זו לימי פורים. ועוד צריך ביור מדוע היהודים הפרזים קיבלו עליהם רק את מצוות משלוח מנוס, ואילו מרדכי הוסיף את מצוות מתנוס לאביונים. מהי שניים ממצוות משלוח מנוס אשר קיבלו עליהם מעצמם? The Megillah tells us this. What did we accept from ourselves? We didn't even need a psak to do. The light of the miracle of Purim illuminated through us a natural decision to start giving Shaloch Manos. Matanos La'Evyonim, no. What's the difference between these two mitzvahs? Also tzarich bir, tzarich iyun. And also why, and like he ends off here, why arei haprazos, not be'arei haprazos, ve'ilu be'arim hamukafos choma, hu tzarach Mordechai lefarsem ulehanig es yemei Purim velo kiblu alehem me'atzmam. And why is it that in the walled cities, bichlal, the whole inyan of Purim had to have Mordechai HaTzadik come and establish it? So there's a lot of questions going on over here regarding the story and the shlavim of the hitavut of how we ended up with the Purim that we have today. Now, in many of Rav Kluger's teachings on Purim, not just Rav Kluger's, but in a lot of the Sifrei Tzadikim, we must remember at what era in Jewish history this story is taking place. So when is this taking place in Jewish history, this whole story of Purim?
7 years after Purim.
So what does that mean? Between
They should have been heading back.
Between
by this
Churban
time.
Bayis Rishon and Binyan Bayis Sheini. Now, what Sefer kind of gives you, it's an interesting thing. Which Sefer kind of gives you the real backstory of the story of Purim? What's that?
Ezra.
Daniel
and Ezra.
very much. It's so cryptic there, but Daniel very much, and he does an amazing job through Daniel. We didn't do it here. We did the women like five years ago. When you learn, and Ezra, when you learn Purim in the context of Sefer Daniel and Ezra, a lot of things start adding up.
It all makes sense.
It all hopefully it makes enough sense to chuck the sense, right, in a real way. Ad lo yada. But the story that's happening when we read Megillah, it's mamish the narrators, Daniel and Ezra, explain everything over there.
Although tragically, it's not taught in most of the yeshivas that...
Steve, you've entered the domain of Nekudas Tovos.
Okay.
Baruch Hashem, we are excited that the next generation will be learning it like that. Okay? And everyone will be in Eretz Yisrael as
there's
well.
a cause
And
and
everyone,
effect.
all the things that we have trouble, it's all going to be fixed. But to learn the story of Purim through this prism of Beis HaMikdash is not optional. It's essential. It's essential to understand, to be sensitive to what the Am was going through at this time is essential to understand every detail of Purim, specifically Daled Mitzvos Hayom, specifically. So the 1 year I shared with you when we were learning the Daniel story. So by Purim, by the Seudah, we lit the menorah at our Seudah, because Achashverosh must have taken out a menorah, right? The kelim, mikelim shonim. Who knew what that Trump put at the table? Who knows what he pulled out at that Seudah? But mikelim shonim. There was stuff that were dragged onto the table. And then we Yossi, you were there, I remember, and we lit the menorah at the thing. We didn't do brachos, but someone did walk in as we're standing there singing Haneros Halalu Koydeshem. And it was the beginning of the Seudah too. It's like, no way you guys got here this fast. There's no way. And Sikui, you pre-gamed. There's no way. You must have pre-gamed.
Well, it looks like everybody ate my cookies.
Now we're going to go into the Maharal. Ulevar sugya zu nagdim is divrei hamaral besefer Netzach Yisrael. We're going to have to understand how the Maharal paints this picture. Asher herich levar, he goes extensively to explain shekol koach ha-Beis HaMikdash HaSheni haya rak mitzad Knesses Yisrael ve'ilu ha-Beis HaMikdash HaRishon haya keneged ha-Avos. This is very interesting. What did he just say? What did the Maharal just say about the difference between the first and second Batei HaMikdash? What does this mean? That the first one was Keneged HaAvos, and the second one was Mitzad Knesses Yisrael.
The first Beis HaMikdash had the glow from all the zchuyot of the Avos, and anything that was shiny in the second Beis HaMikdash was because of what the people that built it put into it.
Okay, it's one way of understanding it. What else?
It was the Yesod of the Beit HaMikdash Sheini was Achdut of Knesset Yisrael, and the Yesod of Beit HaMikdash Rishon was the Avot. So once
the Yesod gets
Yesod was
destroyed.
taken out, then the Beit HaMikdash.
So what's the Yesod of the Avos? The opposite of Gilui Arayos, Shvichus Damim, and Avodah Zarah. That's what you're saying.
Right.
Go down to the. Let's learn this footnote. Let's learn the Maharal inside. It's footnote Aleph. Okay, it's a chance, an opportunity for us to learn the words of the Maharal. This is a beautiful Maharal. Footnote Aleph. Bezel Shono. Af ki yesh beze od sod nistar v'nelam lama Beis HaMikdash Rishon chorev al elu gil averos u'mikdash sheni al yidei sinas chinam. Why is it that the reasons that we give for the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash, the first and second, are what they are? Afarish also beremez v'savin also. I'm going to hint to it and you'll understand. Beze ki mikdash Rishon haya lehem b'schus gimel avos hakdoshim. We had the first Beis HaMikdash because of the schus of the first three Avos, the three Avos, Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Asher madregasam bevada yoser elyona miYisrael. If you're taking the Kedusha of the Avos versus Yisrael, the Yisrael that we meet later on, the Maharal says the Kedusha was much more potent. Much more. V'yadua ki Avram zchuso ma'aloso prishuso min ha'erva. So he goes here and he explains that Avram Avinu's Kedusha was keneged, which one? Gilui Arayos. Shari amru alav masech baba basra, afra lepumye, the Eov she'amar umayis bonan al besula, bedachrinan lo mistakel, aval bedide mistakel, ואילו באברהם כסיב הנה ידעתי כי אישה יפס מראת, שלא נסתכל בה כל ימיו. So it's amazing how what the Maharal is darshaning. From one pasuk that appears in Parshas, what Parsha is this? Hine yadati ki isha yefa mareat lech lecha. He looks over there, he says, the Avram Avinu's tahara sainaim was so refined that he moved his head away from anything that he shouldn't be looking at in order to realize how beautiful his wife was. There's a person sitting in this room that told me many years ago a statement that stayed with me for a long time, and it's helped many other couples, many other men, or well, no, couples actually, that whenever he has a choice to look at another woman and he chooses not to, his own wife becomes more beautiful to him. That statement stuck with me for many years. It's a very powerful statement. The makor for this is Avram Avinu's choosing of his sight. So the Gilui Arayos is keneged, or not keneged, the tikkun for Gilui Arayos stands in the schus of Avram Avinu. Yitzchak schuso ha'archaka me'avoda zara, sharei masar nafsho la'akrov el Hashem yizbarach. That's pashut clear in the story of Yitzchak. Yaakov keneged shvichus damim. ודבר זה ידוע גם כן, כי יעקב הוא החיים. יעקב is life itself. שהרי יעקב אבינו לא מס. So you understand how he touched Yaakov Avinu כנגד שפיכוס דמים? שפיכוס דמים means the end of life. It's death. Yaakov Avinu, the Gemara says, Yaakov Avinu לא מת. מה זרו בחיים, אף הוא בחיים. ועוד כי הוא הפך עשיו, שהיה אדמוני. That's an easier way of plugging into the inyan of the Zeh keneged Zeh. Esav resembles, when Esav comes and sells the Bechara, he just came back from, the Gemara tells us, doing many, many bad things that day. One of them was murder. Vehu siman elav sheyeh shofech damim. Ve'Yakov hafcho meruchak mizeh. So that's another reason. Ve'od, ki Yaakov lo ra'ah keri miyamav, the Gemara in Yevamah says. Shmiras Abris his whole life. V'davar ze nichshav k'tzas ki'ilu shofech dam, ki ra'ui ve'efshar haya sheyeh nivre mimeno adam, ve'af mizeh haya Yaakov marchik. So this is I don't want to get too into this. This is let's just stick with saying Yaakov Avinu, the inyan of Kedusha Sachayim by Yaakov Avinu was something that was so chazak, so clear, and uvda, mitaso shlema, Chazal say by Yaakov Avinu. So he's establishing the 12 tribes, the tree of life, into this world through Chaim, hefech mi shvichus damim. Beis HaMikdash Sheini, shelo haya kol kach b'mayla, which wasn't as high as we all know. Basic element, fundamental things were missing in the Beis HaMikdash Sheini that weren't in the Beis HaMikdash Rishon, as we see in Ezra. When Ezra describes the Chanukah's Beis HaMikdash Sheini, he says there were old people there crying while young people were dancing. Why? Because the young generation wasn't aware of what they really weren't experiencing. They were flying off of what was going on, but the elders that were there were sitting there and being like, do you have any idea what was going on back then? I heard a similar story one time about the Hasidim of the Mittler Rebbe. When he became a Rebbe, those that were by the Alter Rebbe as well, is that they were blown away. The young Hasidim were blown away from the Mittler Rebbe, because the Mittler Rebbe would sometimes give ma'amarim for 8 hours. 7-8 hours. The Mittler Rebbe, the son of the Alter Rebbe, the second Lubavitcher Rebbe, right? The second Nasi in Chabad. So the young guys are free. They're like, wow, look at this. Look what we have. We heard that back by his father, it would be much, much, much shorter. Much, much shorter. The older Hasidim said, they said, you don't understand. When you know exactly what you want to say, you know exactly how to say it, and it doesn't take a lot of words. That's what the older Hasidim were saying. Not that Chalila, they were dissing the Mittler Rebbe, they were just saying, you don't understand what we had.
Concentrate.
We had, boom, right there. So the second Beis HaMikdash, he says, Lo ya kol kach b'mayla. Now we don't listen. As much as we know that certain things weren't there, we don't really understand what that means. I'll take any second of being in the second Beis HaMikdash for a few minutes over anything in the world just to experience it. Okay, can I get the first Beis HaMikdash? Say there. But the Inyan here, the Maharal is saying, it wasn't on the Maila in comparison to the first Beis HaMikdash. And that second Beis HaMikdash, he writes, Haya neged Knesses Yisrael atzmam. V'kvar amru Chazal ki basof kasher chorav Mikdash Rishon tama schus Avos. The Gemara in Shabbos says, once the first Beis HaMikdash was destroyed, because of the three Averas that we know, Chazal tell us they were destroyed, the inyan of schus Avos tama. That means you couldn't say anymore, I'm banking on Zaidi to get me out of jail. Why? Because the answer to that is you don't really love Zaidi. You don't really believe in Zaidi. You're not really living a life in Zaidi's schus. Zaidi would have never done one of these three things. So the schus avos thing ends. It's a by the way, very harsh statement in my opinion. My humble anius daiti. Tama schus avos. That's a very, very scary consciousness.
It goes against Shmones, right?
No.
What's that?
It doesn't.
Why?
Because we're remembering Zechos Avos. It's not that we have it.
No, but we're remembering it with the hope that we could capture it.
Okay, so
we
we're
could
hoping
use
that
it.
we'll capture it once again.
Is it saying that?
But he said it's finished.
Exactly.
Tama is lashon tam benishlam.
Yeah.
Correct.
It's over.
So we're hoping the Zocher Chas Avos that Hashem remembers the Zocher
He
Chas
can remember all he wants, but it's finished. There's no gas in the tank.
No, it is a shayla because listen to the lashon. V'zocher chas de avos
Right.
u'meivi goel livnei vneim l'mashmei be'ava would sound like I'm still
There's a chat.
banking on schus avos to bring geula to their children.
No, we're hoping to have it back. It ended, but we're remembering it that it should come back and bring us to Gula.
Once the base was destroyed, so that was the end of that cheshbon. That doesn't mean that we don't have Shabbos.
Meaning it's the end of the cheshbon le'inyan binyan beis hamikdash, not le'inyan life in general. Right. Still harsh though.
The Vizocher is not that we are remembering. We're asking on Kadosh Baruch Hu.
I know, but the shaila still stands in
Right,
place
right.
based on the Gemara and Shabbos.
So we're asking
Tamas
Kadosh Baruch Hu.
Chusavos, is that?
But if HaKadosh Baruch Hu decided Toma, HaKadosh Baruch Hu could renew the Zchut Avot. And that's why we're saying the Zocher Chazei Avot
Good.
is
That
our
stands.
address or bakasha
That's fine.
to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. No?
That's fine. That's
But
fine.
Leman Shmo is Hashem's name, not Leman Shmom, not because. Of
Right, so if you do it, right, so that's a diuk in the Lashon that I'm still saying, well, the only reason that I'm asking for the reactivation of this is L'man Shmoi Be'ava, yeah.
If we had Schusavas, you'd say Leman Shmom.
No.
If
we still had Schusavas,
if we still had Susus Avos, what would we say?
Leman Shmom.
L'man Shmeinu.
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 Okay.
We would say not Shma, we would say Shmeinu. Yeah. Yeah, it's good.
You're saying because
No, Chevra, this is
because
good
of
stuff.
you,
You'll
HaKadosh
see,
Baruch
if you actually listen to this diyun, Mincha won't be the same. You'll start to actually think.
I'm waiting for the last line. Meaning, I don't buy this. I can't buy this Thomas Kudama.
Right, it's like,
hold on, the whole
right.
my whole gig is I'm riding their coattails. I'm in a fraud next to them is like I'm with them all the time and what do you mean we're out of gas?
That's like Rav Shlomo said. It's in the reference to Beit HaMikdash, not Zchut.
It's like, Eli, say again what you were saying.
So
It's good what you were saying.
When you learn the Maharal, you have to understand he's very much into very specific
Pratu klal.
prat, cloud, nakudas, formulas, like connections, cheshbonas, everything's very organized. So he's taking it in the realm of the billion Beis HaMikdash, of the Bayis Rishon, and that had a gilui of Schus Avos. Doesn't mean the whole Indian of Schus Avos and everything else is gone. It's just in that nakuda of Beis HaMikdash.
But just check what the Gemara says.
But they're out.
Look
do you
at
mean?
the Gemara in Shabbos.
I know,
If we end up
The Gemara in
doing
Shabbos is talking about Bayis Sheini, Bayis Rishon? Like, I don't
Well,
know.
well. So no, interesting. The Maharal is
Bayis
giving it a
Rishon.
parish on the Gemara. The Gemara says Tama.
Exactly, that's my point. It doesn't.
The Gemara says Tama, but the
Learn it from
no.
the source. What does the Gemara
Because
say?
how else could we relate to any of our Yiddishkeit if we say the whole thing of Schus Avos was done after Churban Bayis Rishon? We wouldn't. I mean, no, we wouldn't have any chance to do anything. So the Maharal, like Eli was saying, is medayaking on the Inyan that it must be. And he said in the beginning, "I'm going to give you a remez, and you'll understand it on your own." Like that's what he's saying. So therefore, it must be al pi the binyan of the Maharal over here. It is only referring to the existence of the first Beis HaMikdash. If I say Tamas Schus Avos, we're toast. I'm with you, 100%.
Or even further, that the second and subsequent Meher V'Yameinu is not going to be because of the Schus Avos. It'll be the Schus of the Am.
That's a hard one.
I know, but we can't
Well,
we've
been here for a while already.
I'm not sure that. I think
We've been here for a while.
That gives us quite an opportunity.
Yeah, that's
I understand. So is the third one going to be B'schus Avos? B'schus the Am?
Look, during the first Beis HaMikdash.
Both, I'm with you.
But
I mean, I would rather just let us learn how the Maharal mafshit is before we all give our eitzes. But yeah, I mean, it's gewalt, but he's building a mahalach here. I want to let's just finish the Maharal. Let's finish the Maharal, just for today. Again, Beis HaMikdash Sheini shelo haya kol kach b'mayla היה נגד כנסת ישראל עצמם, וכבר אמרו חז"ל כי בסוף כאשר חרב מקדש ראשון תמה זכות אבוס. And Avi, we should look into the actual Gemara and see the reference of the whole sugya. But for now, it's okay because that's what he quotes for the inyan of what he's trying to darshan. ולכך, in the bottom paragraph here, היה מקדש שני נגד ישראל בעצמם. ולפיכך, like Gavriel was saying before, sinas chinam mevatel koach Knesses Yisrael. Because what's it called? And you see the bizayon today of what's called the Knesset. The last thing that happens in the Knesset is Knesset. What does Knesset mean? In gathering, like likanes. They should be what? Merkaza Pirud, they should call it, or something like that. So the last thing that's happening is Knesset. Shenikra Knesset Yisrael, Hashem Chibur ve'achdus Yisrael. So it was in the schus of Knesset Yisrael. However, it ended because of the opposite of it. B'zeh amram ki migdash sheni charev al yedei sinas chinam bilvad. Ve'elu dvarim nirim kalim, aval hem dvarim amukim ugdolim ramaznu lachapo. Ve'im ki hakol shoresh echad lahem u'bechibur derech hachaim nizbar yoser. He's saying, I'm just pointing out a few things here, but it's much more, he elaborates on this in much greater depth. Now let's go back how Rav Kluger just mitzamtzems this in his lashon. Ulefar sugi azon nagdim es divrei Maharal b'Sefer Knesses Yisrael, like we just saw. Asher herich levar shekol koach haBeis HaMikdash hasheni haya rak mitzad Knesses Yisrael. Ve'ilu haBeis HaMikdash harishon haya keneged ha'avos. V'lachen, Bayis Rishon nechrav, כאשר בני ישראל פגמו בשלוש עבירות חמורות, שהם כנגד השלוש Avos. Just want to make sure we understand this clearly. וכיוון שפגמו ביסודות הבייס, ממילא הוא נחרב. מה שאין כן בית המקדש השני, שהיה בכוח כנסת ישראל, ולכן הוא נחרב כאשר היה פגם של שנאת חינם. שכן זה היה כל יסוד בניין הבייס. ושוב, כנראה לאל, כאשר נפל היסוד, when the foundation gets distorted, or not distorted, when it gets demolished, nafal v'nechrav habinyan. What we're going to continue next week is obviously how he touches this inside, but just to throw it up in the air. Where are we again in Jewish history at this moment in time? We're about to build Bayis Sheini. No, not now. I'm saying in the story of Purim. We're about to build Bayis Sheini. In their minds, what are they banking on? Let's say they knew the Maharal's touch. And they were operating based on knowing that I got nothing to bank on anymore, right? So Mordechai Yehudi is saying, if we're taking this story of Esther to heart and Lemaisa, it's not enough to just say there needs to be a Mikra Megillah and a Mishnah. It can't be. There needs to be fundamental things that are going to be focusing on the only schus we could have to build a second Beis HaMikdash. He's looking at the story of Esther only in one context, going back home to Eretz Yisrael and rebuilding second Beis HaMikdash. Mordechai HaYehudi was in the first Beis HaMikdash. He was there. He saw it. He lived it. He knew exactly what was going on. He tasted how it came down. A person like that, a tzaddik like that, is going to give us the beginning of the remedy as to what are we doing with this story, other than just celebrating, right? That's why, a few years ago, we've been talking about this for a while already. I really believe strongly that one of the most important days for tikkun in Eretz Yisrael is Yom Ha'atzmaut. I'm not even talking about the halal stuff, the bracha, with the bracha, lo nichnas leze. I'm talking about what is the avoda of Yom Ha'atzmaut if we're living here today. So I remember the first year we did it, we were at your house, and then we had a much deeper. So it wasn't just a barbecue. There was a whole, remember that game? There was a whole mahalach going on there, because are we going to celebrate Yom Ha'atzmaut like Purim without Mordechai's takanos, or not? That's really how I'm looking at it. Or is Yom Ha'atzmaut this day of like a sincere shevach ve'hodah together with deep introspection? Shtikul cheshbon hanefesh. I think the cheshbon hanefesh is definitely why there's Yom HaZikaron that comes before Yom Ha'atzmaut. So there's a lot we're going to build up from here, but this mimer gets juicier and juicier. And Be'ez Hashem, I'm excited to keep on going weiter. Next Monday, this Wednesday, there will not be shir because there's a bris upstairs of one of the chevra from the Machon. Be'ez Hashem, Shatov Mutzlachas that everyone should be at. So we'll learn on Friday and then we'll continue this next Monday. Shkoyach.